Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Department of English graduate reception and awards ceremony for 2025. It's so good to see such a turnout here. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Nish Powell. I'm the new chair. I've been here less than a year, but it feels like more than that. This is an amazing and dynamic department. We have some of the finest faculty in the nation. We absolutely have some of the finest students in the nation, many of whom are finishing up this week. And that's awesome, but a little sad. So, welcome, everyone. We are going to have just a couple of kind of fun speakers up to share things, and then there will be giving of gifts, which is enjoyable, and then you should take any brownies that are still here and enjoy the rest of your day. So first, I'm going to introduce Professor Ruben Espinosa. Ruben is a professor of English and director of the Arizona Center for Medieval and Renaissance Studies, ACMRS, where he specializes in Shakespeare and early modern literature. He's the author of several important works of Shakespearean criticism, most recently Shakespeare on the Shades of Racism. He's also the president of the Shakespeare Association of America, which is, if you don't know, and why would you, the Shakespeare Association of America, like, it's a big deal. They're not like a small, friendly little group. Ruben is their leader. His next monograph, Shakespeare on the Border, Language, Legitimacy, and La Frontera, examines the barriers and bridges that define the intersections between Shakespeare and Chicana literature. So, doing great things. And Ruben, do you want to come up and say a few words?
Thank you, Nish. Prepared a speech for the students today aimed at them, and not friendly is right in terms of the Shakespeare Association of America. It's a true honor to be with you today. I'm really honored by the invitation to be here, and thank you all for coming out. Since joining the faculty at ASU in 2021, everything here has felt so exciting and energizing. And that's because ASU is a pretty extraordinary place, almost surreal at times, because everything, and I mean that, everything seems possible here. And while this applies to ASU at large, it's the community of scholars and students in English in particular that fills me with true hope. And I know that true hope in these times feels somewhat hard to come by, but in my experience, English has always held within it something singular, like ASU, that is special. You see, I started my PhD program, I'm going to date myself now, 1 year after the 9/11 attacks that brought down the Twin Towers. It was a time when the world I had known was altered considerably. On a personal level, I dove into my studies. I lost myself in the literature assigned to me, the literature that I loved, the literature that occupied me entirely. All of those books are still on my bookshelf today. Beyond that literature, though, was the reality of the world around me. And that reality, both then and now, isn't always easy to navigate. I suspect that as you sit here, students, hopefully feeling a sense of pride, a feeling of promise for your future, you too know that the reality you live in today is not easy to navigate. It's not an easy time to be embarking into the real world, to be moving beyond the special world of ASU. But as someone who hasn't been a student in the traditional sense, at least, for some time now, as someone who, like you, has seen the world altered again and again since first stepping onto a university campus, I feel confident that we will move beyond this. But we need you. The world beyond ASU needs you, desperately. And the reason it needs you is because you made the shrewd and the bold decision to follow your path as an English major. I'm going to put a pin in that and come back to it, I promise. But before I do, I want to linger a bit on the pressures of the present, because I cannot in good faith stand before you today and pretend as if this ceremony is in any way transpiring in a time with any semblance of normalcy. There's deep uncertainty in our present as we confront deliberate and even nefarious efforts to unsettle so many of us in this nation. But when we recognize that their aim is for us to feel fear, to feel vulnerable, hesitant, and to question our purpose, well, we find ourselves in a position of knowing, of power to reclaim ourselves from that turmoil, to refuse to allow the current chaos to hold us captive, to move beyond it, and to stay true to our purpose. Having this kind of confidence in this moment isn't easy, but it is necessary. I know the task in believing our power to change things can feel formidable. How do we change things? What power do we have? I suppose I can begin by speaking for myself. I'm a Shakespeare scholar, full stop. In some rooms, that will elicit a response like, oh, cool. More often, though, it elicits Shakespeare. Why? As in, why'd you make such bad life choices? With reactions like that swimming in my head, what chance do I stand at affecting change? I mean, I traffic in Shakespeare after all. I don't, traffic in, let's say, conceiving of poorly designed, geometrically nonsensical, overpriced electric vehicles. How can I possibly influence the world? Now, this is a predictable point in a speech where you might expect me to say, let me tell you what Shakespeare can teach us about that. I'm not going to do that. I'll share a secret with you. It's never really been about Shakespeare for me. Not entirely, anyway. It is about seeing in the power of literature, sometimes in the power of Shakespeare's language, a reality that could be mine for the entirety of my life. That reality is not within the pages of the book, not within the poetic designs or literary imaginings, but it is not without either. Instead, it is within me and within each of you. So let me try to explain what I mean. One of my favorite essays by James Baldwin is titled, Why I Stopped Hating Shakespeare. In it, he is candid about resenting what Shakespeare and his language represent to a black man like himself. It is, as he says, the language of his oppression. However, and this is a big however, Baldwin begins to see in Shakespeare's language resonances with his own identity and with his desire to translate jazz into language. Indeed, finding elements of jazz and his own black history in Shakespeare's language. Baldwin writes, my relationship then to the language of Shakespeare revealed itself as nothing less than my relationship to myself and my past. Under this light, this revelation, both myself and my past began slowly to open, perhaps the way a flower opens at morning, but more probably, the way an atrophied muscle begins to function or frozen fingers begin to thaw. I love that passage because in so many ways it speaks not only to the vitality of literature, but also to the vitality within each one of us. What Baldwin gets here is what we should all get, that literature affords us an understanding of ourselves and a desire to flourish, to move, to be unafraid. And this movement, this flourishing, is not insignificant. It's key. It's key to us and key to the communities that we inhabit. I love this particular passage from Baldwin, not only because we share an affinity for Shakespeare, but because it spurred me to contemplate my own relationship with Shakespeare, with myself, and with the world around me. You see, as a Chicano who has devoted his life to studying Shakespeare, it hasn't always been easy. I get side-eye from Shakespeareans, I get side-eye from the Chicanx community, I sometimes give myself side-eye. Like Baldwin, though, it comes down to language for me, but it's a little different. Having grown up on the border in a bicultural and bilingual community, that was my upbringing. But I never felt quite comfortable enough in either the English-speaking or the Spanish-speaking spaces I inhabited. It's what Gloria Anzaldúa describes as something akin to swimming in an alien element, of not feeling like you belong in either space. And this feeling of unbelonging followed me the better part of my life. It followed me to my undergraduate and to my graduate studies. Despite this, reading Shakespeare just made sense. And I know it doesn't make sense to everyone, but it did to me, and it opened up the way I understood the world around me and the way I understood myself. People often ask me what my favorite Shakespeare play is or what my favorite passage is, and it's easier to answer the latter because the answer to the first question typically changes depending on the state of things. Right now, my favorite play is Macbeth because it warns of the dangers of tyranny and inhospitality. But I won't digress. As for my favorite passage, people often expect it will be something like to be or not to be or tomorrow and tomorrow. It isn't. Instead, it's a relatively short line from King Lear. If you haven't read the play, I won't spoil it. But in this one scene, Lear, an 80-year-old man, finds himself in a storm, struggling with his sanity and confronting the fact that his daughters have disavowed him. It's wet, it's cold, and the people he is with encourage him to enter a hovel to escape the rain. And he looks into it and asks, will it break my heart? That's it. That's my favorite line. Will it break my heart? It's my favorite line because he's standing on the edge of the unknown and he knows, like we know, that the answer is yes. Eventually, it will break your heart. Life will break your heart in matters of love, in matters of family, in matters of friends, in matters of a profession to which you'll devote yourself, in matters of a nation that will let you down again and again and again. But Lear goes in. He crosses that threshold, and therein he finds a certain amount of chaos, madness, but ultimately understanding. And he, like frozen fingers, begins to thaw. Somewhere along the line, I realized that I didn't have to feel like I belonged, at least not on their terms. I just needed to feel like I belonged on my terms. And so here I am, fortunate enough to be speaking to so many of you who will soon embark on a path of your own. It was a different world when I graduated, I know that. But when I entered into the reality beyond the walls of the university, I did so with a desire to engage fully in the world that awaited me and to make every effort to change the structures that made me and so many others like me feel that sense of unbelonging, of alienation, of vulnerability, of powerlessness. And I'll be the first to admit that it is strange that Shakespeare in part led me here. Baldwin writes of Shakespeare, the greatest poet in the English language found his poetry where poetry is found, in the lives of the people. He could have done this only through love, by knowing, which is not the same thing as understanding, that whatever was happening to anyone was happening to him. It is this empathy, this love, this commitment to recognizing our ethical obligations to each other that I have taken to heart the most, and I truly, truly believe that I would never have arrived at this knowing had I not majored in English. Which brings me back to my promise to you. The reason why the world beyond ASU needs you is because you made the shrewd and bold decision to follow your path as an English major. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that to suggest I was shrewd and bold to major in English. I'm a Gen Xer. In the 90s, and I refuse to refer to it as the late 20th century like my students, in the 90s, I had the Dead Poets Society. English had an undeniable cool factor, and anyone with any good sense gravitated toward an English degree. But you all came into this knowing that in your lifetime, so many at all levels of society emphasized again and again the unmatched value of STEM. Sure. I hope you all know, though, that there is nothing that compares to what English offers, to the way it opens up the world, in the way it affords us the language and critical thinking necessary to engage with and have a positive effect on those around you in meaningful, ethical ways. When looking to the future, to the promise of something different, something better than our historical moment, we can at times disregard the material and social realities of our present that stand to foreclose on that promise, foreclose on the better world ahead. In so many ways, English teaches us not to do so. It allows us to understand that whatever is happening to anyone is happening to us. And so much is happening both within and beyond ASU. We need to be honest about that. And I wish I had a straightforward answer about how to remediate the social ills that we confront. I wish I had that answer, because for so many, the problem is existential. But as with most cases concerning chaos, oppression, and injustice, the answer is not one-dimensional. We need to come at this to discover solutions from manifold angles. That's why we need you. It's a calling of sorts. I'll leave you today with one of my favorite contemporary poets, Tracy K. Smith. In her stunning poem, I sit outside in low late afternoon, light to feel earth call to me, Smith writes, "Is the world intended for me? Not just me, but the we that fills me? Our shadows reel and dart, our blood simmers, stirred back. What if the world has never had, will never have, our backs?" Capturing the tension between vulnerability and concord, Smith moves us poetically to sit there, to consider, to speculate about, to yearn for an understanding of a world that offers no clear stability or answers. It's okay to feel how fraught it is, but you need to feel it, and then you need to move into it, to move through it, to let your blood simmer, stir, and then you need to make sure that that world knows that you've arrived. Congratulations to all the graduates of 2025, sending you much strength and good fortune.
Thank you, Professor Espinosa. What a lovely way to start. I just wanted to pause for a moment and think about the courage that it takes to cross the threshold. And even though you're working hard towards graduation while you're in college, and your parents are certainly encouraging you to work hard towards graduation when you're in college, Taking that step into the next unknown part of your life is a big act of faith and courage, and I applaud everybody for doing that here. But I also tend to agree that an English major makes it a little easier to take that step because we've seen so many other people do it in books. I mean, right. All right. Speaking of brave and wonderful students, our next speaker is Dahlia Horani. Dahlia is the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Dean's Medalist in English. She's graduating from Barrett, the Honors College, with a 4.0 GPA and concurrent bachelor's degrees in English and psychology, and for good measure, a minor in sociology as well. Horani completed her honors thesis on Muslim representation in young adult literature and received the department's Research Internship Award for publishing a project with Regents Professor Devaney Lozer. She's from Gilbert, Arizona, and she'll be staying close to home by attending Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law in the fall. So congratulations to Dahlia, and please come up and talk to us for a little bit.
Hello, everyone, faculty, staff, fellow graduates, and families. I want to start off by thanking the English department. I've had a wonderful couple of years with everyone here, and I'm honored to be chosen as the Dean's Medalist for this department. Something great about being an English major is the sense of community you gain along the way. I ended up taking a lot of the same courses with the same group of classmates for the past couple years, and I've gotten to know some incredibly talented people. I ended up taking, so now I'm going to say a comment I really hope will age well 10 years from now. But I firmly believe that ChatGPT can never take the place of our jobs or our writing. Every time I would hear discussions in class or people would present their final projects, I would be blown away by the level of creativity and talent that no artificial intelligence could ever emulate. I wouldn't have gone here today if I wasn't constantly inspired by the people around me, not only in my personal life, but my classmates and my professors and the people here today. I know one day you're all going to go on to write books or direct films or work in publishing or become archivists or researchers or professors, and I can't wait to see what you all come up with. Life is made of stories. They are all around us, in the news, in the conversations we have with each other, and the actions we do every day. And here is some of my story. I am a Muslim Syrian American English literature and psychology major. I have spoken my truth for my entire life, and I'm going to law school in the fall because I want to advocate for the people who don't always have the means to advocate for themselves. I wrote my thesis with the best thesis director anyone could ever have, Dr. James Blasingame, on the negative stereotypes young adult literature perpetuates about Muslims and the harmful narrative these books weave together about a religion that I am proud to be a part of. I did an internship at the Superior Court where I heard people tell me their stories about their families and their custody and divorces, and I would tell them what the next procedural steps they could take to further their cases. I interned with Hayden's Ferry Review, ASU's literary journal, where I'd read short story submissions and vote on them, and meet once a week with a group of interns to discuss relevant literary issues such as sensitivity readers and diversity in literature. I also had an internship with Dr. Devaney Lozer, America's leading scholar on Jane Austen, which Ruby McSood, ASU's internship coordinator, helped set up for me, where I conducted research for Dr. Luzer's new book, Wild for Austen, which is an amazing comprehensive biography of Jane Austen and her works, and it helped me learn what exactly is wild about Jane Austen. It's out on September 2nd for any of those who's interested in reading it. It's also Jane Austen's 250th anniversary, so I think we should have a round of applause for that. I'm proud of my internships and the work that I put in during my college career, opening my eyes to new experiences and people. But the thing that makes me truly stand out is that I am a reader, and I always have been. I have lived 1,000 lives in the span of my 20 years, seeing the world through different perspectives and going on journeys through history and through theoretical futures. I was there when Atticus defended Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird. I was there when the party made Winston say that 2 + 2 = 5 in 1984, or when Jane Eyre wandered Thornfield Hall looking for Mr. Rochester's secrets. I was in the moors with Catherine in Wuthering Heights, or with Claire and Irene in Passing, and with Elizabeth when she married Mr. Darcy and told her aunt that she is the happiest creature in the world. And for those of you book talk romantasy people out there, I was with Violet and Basgiath when she fought to get her dragon, and with Aelin and Terrasen when she fought to take back her kingdom. I have lived thousands of lives, and I have learned about every subject imaginable. And that is the thing that I love about literature, is that I was able to study because of the Department of English. I learned about race and religion and history and mental health from authors who have been through these experiences, and they told us their stories through their writing. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the people who started my story, the people who are always there for me no matter what. I wouldn't be here today without my family. My father, who I may take off work to come here today, he works harder than anyone else I know, and he always shares with me whatever new interesting article that he read about the day before. My mother is my biggest inspiration. She's getting her master's in applied behavioral analysis from ASU, and she completed her first year. I always call her whenever something happened to me, whether it's what I ate for lunch or that I got into law school a couple months ago. And of course, my brother, who I'll be telling what feels like the biggest problem in the world to me, and he'll be like, life's life, which can be very annoying at the time, but it also makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay. They are a big part of my story, and I want to thank them for all the love and support they gave me over the years. To quote Patrick Ness in A Monster Calls, "Stories are the wildest things of all. Stories chase and bite and hunt. They can be more important than anything if they carry the truth." So I want to tell you that while stories are powerful and they make up life, it's still okay to critique them and analyze them and conduct deep readings, something that Dr. Brandy would always remind me of. Don't be afraid to go out there and critique the classics. Critique Shakespeare. I hope that our leading scholar in Shakespeare will agree with me on that.
What do you think he does for a living?
Critique the news that you hear in the world around you. Write your own stories and string together words and sentences in a way that makes people listen to you. I can't wait to see what the next step of my journey is and what stories you all will have years from now, and from the experiences that you've lived and the relationships that you've made along the way. Thank you all for having me, and to the English department for this honor.
Thank you so much, and congratulations again, Dahlia. Next up, we have Bob Summers. Bob Summer is the co-founder of our beloved indie bookstore, Changing Hands, with Department of English alumna Gail Shanks in 1974. Last year, the store celebrated its 50th birthday, so lining up with Jane Austen, just a few hundred years to go.
Notes to speaker but from himself. Read slowly, speak slowly, maintain eye contact, breathe, yes, and good luck. A few days ago, I heard a speaker online say, "We need not only to defeat the machinations of the oligarchs, but to build something better than we had before." In a recent interview with Margaret Atwood, Ezra Klein of the New York Times said that, quote, "What the right has for its side is an inspiring vision of the past, but the left has lost an inspiring vision of the future. That the left has become about preventing disaster, but doesn't quite have a vision of what it is trying to create." Margaret Atwood responded, "Yeah," she said, "they're going to have to do preventing disaster and improving people's lives. Plus, it will have to be fun." She went on to say that William Morris thought that not only could you improve conditions, but you could make them more fun and more beautiful. "A lot of people think that beauty is beside the point," she said. "It's actually not." Which brings me to my point. You here today are the creators of beauty in what's to come. You writers, along with our sisters and brothers in the arts, music, dance, theater, design. You graduates and honorees will write stories of the future, and you will write stories for the future. You, on the shoulders of storytellers of the past and the present, on the shoulders of your parents and teachers, you will tell the tale, forgive me, of tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It will be a tale told by an idiot. Who else would choose to be a writer? It will be a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury and beauty, and signifying and signifying thank you.
So congratulations, everyone, and special congratulations to our graduates. Go and get your book cards, enjoy them, and good luck.